This video is going to be a bit of a weird one. I will say a little bit different. A lot of amazing anime has been released this year, new and returning seasons. But there is one that I am bringing with me. For the rest of my life, actually. I love My Hero, Attack on Titan, Cowboy Bebop, just to name a few of my favorites. The topic of today's video is about an anime that has probably altered my brain chemistry. Today's video is about Vinland Saga. The story being told here is one of many. Revenge, growth, tragedy, slavery, war, and politics, with my favorite theme coming out of this being peace. Out of all of these, a story of change happens. Change is what pushes a person forward. Notice how at the beginning I started with revenge and ended with peace. Going into the new year, let's look at the change that Thorfinn and Vinland Saga has brought upon me. Going into this video, there will be spoilers, so you should probably click off and come back unless you don't want to be spoiled. And I'll also be covering events or mention things in the anime only. Let's start. What is Vinland Saga? It goes back to the Nordic era of the late 900s to the early thousands AD. I'm not actually going to sit here and give you an entire breakdown and summary of the entirety of Vinland Saga, but I will be either talking about key moments or, as a better term, reflecting. Perspective. The tale of Vinland Saga can be seen as about angry, horny, hairy Vikings, but that is perspective. Perspective shapes how we understand the world around us and influences the way we communicate. Earliest relatable memory any human can probably have about perspective comes from childhood. Comes in Thorfinn. Thorfinn as a child is innocent, as we all are, as children of course. A boy searching for adventure. A boy who might have listened to too many stories about things he didn't know or understand and wanted to understand. He looked up to his dad, like every child that has one does. This dream or perspective of the world quickly changed, however, when his father, Thor's, died, turning an innocent boy who yearned for adventure into a cold-blooded, revenge-seeking killer. Thorfinn's eyes went from a land beyond his own to killing his own father's murderer, Askeladd. And man, let me fucking tell you about this gaslighting, condescending, I have an answer for everything ass man Askeladd. He is a menace, but that is also a form of perspective. Askeladd is a survivor, just like Thorfinn. The planet has one thing. A lot of kids who were never really kids because they had their innocence stripped away. I will tell you this, if you ever feel like you had your childhood innocence stripped away, close your eyes and listen. You are allowed to grieve over the child you never became. Thorfinn's perspective in life changed to that to only know killing to survive. Have you ever left your childhood to turn into an unrecognizable monster in your teenage years? Because I have. Feeling like you have to hate the entire world. Feeling as though the entire world is against you, but in reality, you're just surviving. But yet, all you have seen is nothing as to what's to come. Just like Thorfinn. You and me were both teenagers, or one of you watching are, right now, upset and scheming against a force you couldn't possibly face no matter how much you train or try. You're not an anime protagonist. You never understood. You repeatedly got your ass kicked, you were continuously broken, you fought alongside your demons, and you had your nightmares. Not knowing how to kill them, so you thought tolerating was the best answer. You were comfortable enough to live, but not comfortable enough to make that change yourself. Thorfinn endured. He had his mind, body, and soul broken numerous times. But a young man's biggest loss, especially in the era we are talking of, is his pride and honor. Not being able to avenge your own father's death hurts. Even so, when you're locked into a relationship of doing said murderer's bidding, killing everyone for them, ruthlessly hoping one day you could get the chance at Askeladd. It never came. At the end of season 1 of Vinland Saga, Thorfinn failed. Like I said, I'm not going through the 24 episodes of repeated murder, gaslighting, and Vikings doing Viking shit. Thorfinn failed. He didn't avenge his dad. He did not complete the one mission that he forced himself to stay alive for. Have you ever realized that one thing you set your goals on, the reason that you said that you were alive, is taken away from you? All the hard work you put in just for it to be taken away from you. Whether that be a college you wanted to get into, a job you wanted, a significant other that you were interested in, something you saved up the money for just to be bought by someone else. Or that money was taken from you. You leave out your teenage years without purpose, as did Thorfinn. Casted into the world of the unknown, one you weren't prepared for. In comes Thorfinn again as an adult. Like me from my teen years, unrecognizable, depressed, and distant. Not believing there was a purpose to him, he submitted to the life that was handed to him. Or more understandably, to those who forced this onto him. He lived a life that was enough to keep him breathing. Very unfortunate for him, being a slave, forced into slavery, having your own purpose taken away from you. In comes the beginning of your healing and you not actually knowing it. Aner. Aner himself is a slave after having his wife and sister brutally murdered in front of him. Aner turns out to be the mirror of Thorfinn. Even though Thorfinn is older and forgotten about his past, another version of him is introduced to himself. More emotional, but logical as well. Aner saw the evil in the world, but decided to still find the beauty in it. Thorfinn saw the beauty in the world and saw that it was taken from him. That's when he saw only the evil in the world. A lot of us grow older and automatically cannot help but see the evil in the world. Whether we move across the world, get a new job, find a new setting, or enter a new era, there will always be the overwhelming feeling as if the entire world is against you. Aner was the friend, the change, the unexpected shift in the universe that helped Thorfinn. It helped Thorfinn understand that it's not too late for himself. But how does that transfer over to you, me, or us? This could be a routine, a person, a significant other, a new home, or even a new pet that brings a smile to your face. It brings back that sense of curiosity and light you once saw in the world as a kid. You latch on to that feeling because it is new, and then it is tested. Thorfinn was tested. Thorfinn was to go up against Snake to protect Arnheid, Aner's love interest, but that was a whole thing. Arnheid basically was sending signals to Aner. Aner was trying to pick up on the signals, but then Arnheid's baby daddy popped up. It was a whole thing. Thorfinn multiple times during season 2 was reminded that he wanted to live, when his body acted on its own to dodge fatal attacks or defend itself aggressively. Thorfinn wanted to live as much as he couldn't admit it. Have you actually given up on life before? Have you ever decided to just live the life handed to you because you had to give up? You probably wanted to die. But then something happens that activates you and you realize that you actually want to live. You feel as though there is something in you that is forcing you alive no matter how much you don't want it to admit it. This happened when Snake attacked Thorfinn, or anytime Thorfinn was getting his ass beat really. He adjusted to the world around him rather than forcing himself into the world around him. This leads me to my final point. I have no enemies. What does this mean? Of course I have enemies. People don't like me. You might have an ex that hates you, a friend you don't communicate with, a group of people you feel as though discriminate towards you. I've always felt as though I was different because I didn't fit in, or because I didn't like people around me. I assumed I mustn't like them because they don't like me. I was in my early 20s acting as a protagonist in an anime, but the anime realistically never had an antagonist. I created a problem or enemy in my head to fuel my void that I had empty. I assumed at the end of the world, I would be fighting the entire world on my own. I have no enemies. I am still but a boy who just wanted to discover the world around me and be accepted into it. Understand this. Replace my experience that I am telling you with yours. Thor's. Thorfinn's father was the strongest Viking, feared even, but he still chose peace over violence. If I can recall correctly, Thorfinn received 100 punches just to speak to King Canute to call off an invasion to the farm that Arnheid and Aner and Thorfinn was at. He received a bare-knuckle beating surrounded by angry men, mind you, angry men who didn't even know Thorfinn, who weren't even enemies to him. He took the punches without retaliating. The year 2023 beat my ass. I must live a life without hatred and ill will. You can be a warrior, you can be strong, but you mustn't act negatively. Forgiveness to yourself first and the others around you puts an end to the anguish and hollowness in one's life. Go into 2024 with no enemies. Don't go into 2024 trying to be better or compete against enemies because you have none. Gain that perspective to see the beauty in the world no matter how much evil there is. Your peace will overcome that evil. You'll endure that hardship and 100 punches, but once you meet the king at the end of it all, you just might be surprised how much you can accomplish without raising a hand. That is it for me today. This is my first YouTube video on a new YouTube channel titled Odd. Keep this separate from my gaming channel, Audie the Kid. Please understand I'm doing my best to try to edit this and script it in a way that is engaging. So this is kind of like my first probably serious non-gaming video. Sounding something I'm trying to do for myself new. You will be okay. If not right now, soon. Because the world around you will push you till you see that you are still fighting. Love you all, and this video has been a bit odd.